Hey, my friends, this is it's a podcast that goes around in circles with a lot of meaning and then takes the meaning away and puts it back again, because when it comes down to it, nothing in this world has meaning. So the term, what's the meaning of life, doesn't really mean a thing. I know it's confusing, and through that confusion, we will find clarity. So if you want clarity, have a listen after this.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Boo. Oh, that made me laugh. It was just a little thing. What did that mean to you? What did that mean to you? Well, the thing is, what is the meaning of life? Big question here at the PDU, Personal Development Unplugged. Hey, it's me, Paul, your friend. And I've been thinking about this. You see, nothing in this world has meaning. What? Nothing you hear has meaning. Nothing you see has meaning. Nothing you feel has meaning. Nothing you smell or taste has meaning. In fact, life has no meaning. Therefore, destroying that blooming sentence I said, what is the meaning of life? Or does it? Because you might be thinking, are you taking something, Cluffy? Are you on something? Yeah, I'm on me. I'm on my life. Because this got me really thinking. Nothing has meaning. Now, how can I say that and even mean that? Yeah, you see, that's one of those double binds, isn't it? And it's a reframe and binding and all that stuff, because if it doesn't have meaning, how can you think about the meaning of it? Here's an example. And it's partly what made me think of this a little bit, is just occasionally, when I'm looking on YouTube, I see these guys, and they're doing stuff that means they're running along. They're jumping, they're doing handstands, they're doing tumbles, they're jumping from one building to another, they're climbing things, they're running and jumping across buildings and landing on a tiny, tiny bit of a baluster, and then they'll roll and jump on something else. And when they finish, they're jumping and fist pumping and everything. And to me, that means fear, dread. I would worry about anything. I'd think about getting hurt. I worry about them getting hurt. Sometimes you see them and there's people doing a handstand on the side of a building looking down, and you go, no, it's crazy. Absolutely. And that's what it means to me. But to see them do their fist bump and the people clapping and they're jumping up and down with excitement, it means excitement. It means adventure. So if that means adventure and excitement, but it also means dread and fear, therefore, they're two ends of the spectrum, aren't they? Which means that meaning cannot be right. Or that thing has no meaning. And it doesn't have any meaning. It really doesn't have any meaning. Now then, what I'm trying to say, and I think you'll get this, and you know it really, that there is no meaning. And it's so difficult to put it into mind, because it has a meaning and it doesn't have a meaning and it goes round in circles, but there's no absolute meaning until we decide what it means. Now, that I think is pretty clear now, isn't it? But then you say, well, how do we decide? I don't decide. I don't sit down and go, do you know what? I've seen this video and I'm going to sit and contemplate it and muse. We like our musings, and say, well, actually, I think that's quite fearful. No, I don't. In the moment, boom. To me, I get full of dread. And I guess another person might look at that and go, I've got to do that. That's so exciting. So if we're not deciding consciously, how do we decide? Well, there's only one other place to decide these blooming things. It's unconsciously. And that's what we do all the time. Big generalization, Cluffy. But we do. Every moment of the day, you are deciding. You decide to move your hand. You decide to I said that because I was moving my hand while I'm talking. But you decide to think. You decide to make meaning. You decide to move. You decide to do, to think. Yeah, when you're aligned, you're doing it together consciously and unconsciously, but all the time your unconscious mind is deciding. And how the blooming hell does it do it? How does it make that meaning? How does it decide what that means to you? Because it doesn't mean that's the same to everyone else. I know for a fact you can get like twins and they can see the same thing, the same event. When they describe it differently because they are noticing different things, because those things mean something to them. How can that be? Well, I'm going to tell you. I'll tell you what I think is happening. And it comes from neuro-linguistic programming. Love it. You know I love that. I'm a trainer in it. And it's all about their communication model. We teach the communication model. But it's not like a communication model that you're communicating. Well, you do communicate it with the behavior that comes out the other end. But it's the way an event communicates itself to you and you make meaning of it. So there's that thing. Let's go through this. There's that thing happening. There's an event and you're there you're there and you're taking in that event, not just looking, but you're taking it through all your senses. You've got your sight. You've got your hearing, the auditory. You've got your kinesthetic feeling. You've got taste and smell. And there's probably one or two other senses that people are saying they can find out. You know, there are proprioceptive, I think, the one where you know where different places of your body are and things with instinctively and things like that. But there's loads of other senses. But what you do is you're taking this in, and it's like a filter, because there's, I don't know about billions, but there's certainly millions of information coming at you. And if you could take in that, because you think all the different sounds, the different levels and frequencies of sounds, the different levels of sight, you are bombarded with information. And if you didn't filter it out, you would go boom, but you'd explode, implode, overwhelm. So we filter it out. Now then, to stop our head exploding, we filter it with our visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory. Visual, hearing, feeling, smell and taste. But then we filter it again. What? We filter it again just through that? Absolutely. You see, you have values, your own personal values and beliefs. Now, where do they come from? Well, they maybe came from what you have been taught when you were a child. You took them on uncritically. I think I said that right, uncritically. From your experiences, you developed beliefs. You had significant emotional events. You had memories which weren't maybe that significant, but they may have been significant in your bring up your values. So sometimes there's like trauma at one end of the spectrum, and the other ones are just, oh, that's interesting. We have your attitudes, your attitude on the day when you take in those events. And we have to filter them in a way that makes sense to us. So with those beliefs and values, those experiences, those significant emotional events, they call them, if you ever see it, it's SEEs, our memories, our attitudes, and all the other personal profile things you get. We have to delete some of that stuff coming into us, at us, to make sense, in accordance with those values, beliefs, experiences, memories, etc., etc. Because if they don't make sense, we just can't take it in. And they don't match our values and beliefs, and we tend to try to make things match. Things to make them match in a way that we can understand them. And having deleted them, then we can actually distort them. We make things fit. We get that round peg and we shove it in a square hole. Because we go, oh, that's like this. Well, it isn't like that, but we've made it like that because we've deleted some information. We're distorting it in a way that makes sense to us. You can see something, and we're also, remember, we've got that fight and flight, that danger thing that's looking for us. So sometimes we look at things and we distort it into danger first because it's a protection measure. So if you're in Africa or something like that, or Australia or anywhere where you get those blooming snakes, and as you're walking along, you see, there's a snake over there. Well, it's actually a hose pipe. But initially we filtered it out. We deleted everything else around us. We distorted it into something that would protect us. So you've also got our fight and flight, which is another filter. And then we generalize them. We generalize them because if this means that, everything means this and that, in accordance with our values and beliefs. And that's why it's so blooming difficult to change someone's belief. Because it's had this deletions, distortions, generalizations. It's had all these experiences, memories, trainings. You know, when we were young, we're like a sponge. We suck all these things in uncritically. And we don't need to go into all the stuff where some people get, you know, from a what to us would be a bad experience, but they're told it's something else when they're young. They see that as that thing forever. Until we get things like counterexamples, when someone cannot hold on to that belief any longer. But it's blooming difficult. Anyway, that's how we make a little start. Well, we start to make meaning. But what happens when we distort, delete, and generalize in accordance with our beliefs and values and experiences and emotional events and memories and attitudes and all through those other visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory stuff? We create inside us, and I like to think of it. It's like a comic for me, and I'm sorry, but that's my level of being as it is, of a little screen in the front of my head, on my forehead, that I'm looking at. Technically, we call it an internal representation. I have a little screen. Sometimes it's black and white, sometimes it's colour. Sometimes it's movie, sometimes it's still. It's what all these filters have created in my head, or in me, but I've got this. This is the way that I make sense. And this is what it means to me. This is how that explanation means to me. So I've made meaning of it. Got this lovely little movie screen that is sometimes still, black and white colour. Has sounds. Has maybe an internal dialogue that I might even talk about that movie, that picture, that I can smell and taste. And it creates a feeling. So if you can imagine just linked below that, the way we draw it is into like an interlinked chain, as it were. And that internal representation, that internal picture with sounds, colours and internal voices and things like that, create this state, this emotion. And that emotion, with that internal representation, my little movie screen, creates a physiology. So if you think about it, if I'm seeing something that to me, because I've filtered it down, doesn't make me feel too good, I'll see a picture. Maybe I'll bring some memories back, because it's triggering off memories of times that are like that. We're generalizing, aren't we? Creating these downward feelings. I say downward already, it's physiology, but creating a more sad, depressed type feeling. And what happens to my physiology? Am I skipping down the road? Am I up on my toes? Or am I slumped, maybe just looking down at the floor? That's probably it when you're in a negative situation. But if it was something good I was seeing, something that really excited me, I'd have this picture and I'd be seeing that and maybe bringing in other memories and have a little voice saying to me, yeah, Cluffy, this is brilliant. And I'd feel good. I'd feel brilliant. And how would I be? My physiology would change, wouldn't it? And out of those three, with all those filters going on, it creates a behavior, a meaning. Because the meaning then brings all those, I think, if you drew a circle, like if you were doing a mind map, you drew a circle all around that and you'd come out with behavior. That's what it means. Because, well, there's an NLP presupposition, useful assumption, that people are not their behaviors. There's more inside. And it's a meaning you're putting on that behavior, because now you're doing the same thing, looking at their behavior, doing all that filtering and coming out with something different. So they're not their behavior. They are their values and beliefs created by experiences. If you had their experiences, you might be similar, not the same. So a big generalization is everyone filters their experiences, but everyone's filters, other than delete, distort, and generalization, are different. Therefore, every meaning is different too, because you make up your own meaning and they make up their own meaning. Whew, that took a bit of doing, that did. But does it make sense? Did it make sense to you? Maybe. I hope it did, because I'm trying to explain it. But I'm explaining it in some ways through that internal representation. I'll say that again. My internal representation, where I've deleted and distorted and generalized stuff, and it's the way I learnt it, which is my experiences and the value and beliefs and my filters as I learnt it. But I think I've given you a good idea. But the thing is that all true? Well, absolutely it's true. Absolutely, because that's what it means to me. It is true. And I think you can get it. Who knows? But we do know. But the thing is, there's another presupposition of NLP about the map is not the territory. And that's come from someone, I can never pronounce his name, but someone like Kate Mulhaley, and I could never spell it either. But the map is not the territory. I'll say it again. The map is not the territory. And it's also within your model of the world. And your model of the world has been made up of everything you filtered through those values, beliefs. See, we're going round in circles now. They're all interlinked. Because when we change a belief, one of the things we say in NLP and hypnosis is we're loosening your model of the world, because it's your model of the world and it's not necessarily the right model of the world. Maybe not the most appropriate model of the world for you to get what you want, because it's been honed, it's been molded from those filters, those meanings that you put on things. And the thing is, the map is never the territory, and it's your map. Because it's your map that you've created from all your experiences. And it's not the territory, because it's not big enough to see, but the territory is always changing. Every day on a map, things are changing. And if you were to zoom out bigger and bigger, then you start to see even more territory. And it's still not the map. It's just a snapshot of what it is right now and how you perceive it to be. Oh no, not perception, because then you get projection. God, these things just keep going on and on, doesn't it? So, where am I going with all this? So, I'll tell you, so meaning is given by us, individually, you and me. But my question to myself is, and maybe you want to muse with me, I can feel a mind map coming on here in my quiet day, quiet little place, and a cup of coffee and some music. How do we know that meaning is right? Because it's probably wrong. Because it will be, because it's based on our values. How can someone I didn't finish that sentence, did I? Have you noticed that? Because it's based on our values and beliefs and experiences, and other people's meanings are based on theirs. And they might be similar, they may be different. So what I try to do, and I want to try to do it even more. I say try, I'm not going to try. We don't try, because try means fail. I always tell my clients as an aside when they go, oh yeah, I'd love to book a session, Paul, with you, because and I'll give it a try. And I say, okay, so we've said 10 o'clock on Tuesday, I'll try to be there. And they go, what do you mean you'll try to be there? So, well, you're going to try to work, do this work, so I'll try to be there. Not quite so committed, are we? So we're going to do it. But the thing is, we talk about stopping and pausing, and I think that's what we need to do in so many different things. I know you're going to yawn, stop and pause. That's all you say, Cluffy. But no, think about it. Do we stop and question the meanings we give things? Do we question what else could that mean? As I said, people are not their behaviours. So the words they say, written, verbal and non-verbal communication, their physiology, and then put that into, could be individuals, could be groups, could be organisations. Man, now and then we get into a mire, don't we? It gets murkier and murkier. But let's come out of the murk, if you can come out of the murk. Let the sunshine shine in on us, and let's light a candle. Go on. No. But I think just stopping and asking the question, maybe starting from, if I'm trying to work out a meaning of, what meaning I'm putting onto this, what would be that person's intention? What would be that group's intention? What would be that organisation's intention? If I could know the intention, maybe I could understand the meaning and understand where it comes from in their beliefs and values. And maybe if I spent time, if it's really important, to communicate my values, my beliefs, and listen to theirs. Because I think that's sometimes one of the things we never do. There's a big generalization again, Cluffy, but we will make meaning, but we won't listen to other people's meanings or explanations because it doesn't match with ours. If it's not in accordance with our values and beliefs, it is wrong. But it's not wrong. We need to listen. And that's the biggest thing, I think, in the world today at the moment. People aren't listening and communicating properly. They're getting hit with algorithms which only give them one side of a story. And they pile on that one side of the story. It doesn't give us the other side and allow our own intelligence to filter out what we think is true. Now, how could you find out someone's intention? Because one of the other things that people say is, well, this means that. And I love the saying, correlation does not mean causation. You just put two things together and said it means this. Did you really think it through? Again, what was the intention? Are there other meanings? Are there other reasons causing this? One of the ways I like to do it is if it's with an individual, we talk about perceptual positions. And I don't know what number it is. You'll have to look for yourself. And if I can find it, I'll put it in the show notes. Show notes. I always call it show notes. And I have a hypnosis track. Go to paulcloughonline.com/podcast. Sign up. Emails are safe. Well, they're as safe as I can make them, put it that way. But I don't give them to anybody. And you'll find a hypnosis track there for using perceptual positions. But what are perceptual positions, you might say? Because you may be new here. And if you're not new here, it's a good reminder. First position, looking through your own eyes. Right now, you're looking through your own eyes at people. Say you were looking at your friend over there. That's first position. Second position is can you imagine floating out of your body into them, looking through their eyes and seeing you? So you're in their position, looking back at you. That's second position. Third position is like a meta view, slightly above, looking down at the both of you. So seeing yourself and that person. And that way you can get even more information. So maybe you float into somebody else and you get a feeling, a sense of beliefs, values, experiences. Maybe you get a sense of how they make meaning. And then you float above and listen to the conversation going again from this dissociated position and find out, I'll get a bit more information. So you're trying to perceive things from different positions, which means you're looking at it from different angles, I guess, listening to it from different angles. Maybe when you do that, your deletion and distortion and generalizations are changing slightly because you have an intention. And I think that's the biggest thing. What's your intention for doing this? Well, I want to understand. Well, if you have an intention to understand things, guess what tends to happen? Well, you tend to understand things because your unconscious mind is with you. The other thing you do, you can reframe it. And reframing in some ways is, well, when someone says this means that, and you go, well, it could mean that, but it could also mean this. And if it could mean something different, that first meaning cannot be right. We've loosened the model of the world because it could mean one moment in time, it was a definite, this means that, correlation, causation. And then we find something else that it could mean, and that correlation does not, that causation could be something different now. We can't correlate to that one cause. We give a different example of how it could be. A very weak bit of reframing is, you're late. That means you don't love me. And some people say that, you're late. You didn't respect me. You didn't respect my time. Yet someone's going into that other person. They said, well, actually, I wanted to finish off what I was doing because it was really important. I'm a brain surgeon. Didn't want to leave too early. Half job done. Not good. But also, when I finished that work, all my attention is on you because I want to put all my attention on you because I love you. Whose meaning is right? Understanding. Different territory now. The map is changing. The territory is changing. And even the map is not the territory because the model of the world is different. But it's getting similar or understanding. So, isn't it confusing? But confusing in a good way, isn't it? Because this type of confusion means, when you think about it, it means it's different from overwhelm. You see, to me, confusion is just before understanding, because it means you've got all the information, but you just need to stop, pause, think, go through a process maybe. And that confusion suddenly goes click, click, click. I put the pieces in the right place. It's like a jigsaw all spread on the floor. Whoa, I don't know what that means. Put it together. I see the picture now. I understand. I understand what it means, but do I? Hey, we just go around in circles. But it's good to question, isn't it? What could that person's intention be? I wonder what their values and beliefs would have to be to mean that. What experiences of life have they gone through to create that meaning? Because mine are different. And maybe when I understand that, I will communicate differently to them. So it's in other words, it's like listening to other points of view, catching yourself. If you see it going on, or you suddenly make a meaning, you catch yourself and say, does it really mean this? So we're not jumping to conclusions, consciously or unconsciously, but we're communicating now, communicating to ourselves. Even if you sort of put your intention is, I want to listen to this other point of view because it will make me richer. Whether I believe it or not at the end, it doesn't matter, because I've got more information to make a better considered meaning. I mean, there's one or two other things you could do to help with this. I mean, there's a book called The Four Agreements, and one of those agreements is, or two of them. One is don't jump to assumptions. Don't make assumptions, which is what sometimes making meaning like that creates. So don't make assumptions. And the other one is be kind. Be your best being kind. Or I don't think the kind bit comes into it. I think it's just being the best person you can be. But to me, I added on being kind. When you put that together, you will listen. You'll catch yourself. You'll have that positive intention. And it will make your communication and your connection that much richer with yourself and richer with other people. The other thing you can do, which is, if you think about it, if your beliefs and values and these filters are created by significant emotional events, well, clear them. Go to therapy. One-to-one therapy. I get angry all the time, or I have this feeling that I just don't understand, or I'm down, or I get anxious. Clear those with a good therapist. I always say NLP, a great hypnotist and a timeline therapist will clear them really quickly. I do. And that will then mean when you do filter, you'll filter differently because you won't be tainted by those experiences, trauma, etc., things like that. Maybe it's unconfidence. Oh, talking about unconfidence, a simple thing would be like go through my program, Supreme Inner Confidence. Now, I didn't say all of this just to get to there, but it came as a little note for me thinking, well, I was thinking about my program, and it basically goes through clearing the past, is 1/3, getting to know what you want, that's the middle part, and then creating all the resources you want for the future, when you know what the future you want is. And in that way, that is clearing. Because when you're looking through the world in a positive, confident state, confident and competent, you will make better decisions because you'll make better judgments of meaning. So have a look at that. That's paulcloughonline.com. And you'll see there's some other stuff there. But you've also got all those free hypnosis tracks. Then you've got these premium programs and a couple of premium hypnosis tracks there. But they're not that expensive. And there's money back guarantee anyway. Nothing to lose other than, I always say, your unconfidence, your low self-esteem. But you can imagine when you have confidence in your competence and you have a good, don't be high, but high self-esteem is good too. But just having self-esteem, you are going to find better meanings. And when you find a better meaning, you'll find more joy, I believe, in life. Or you'll make better decisions. Maybe not jumping, whatever happens, I will, certainly not my age, but I will never be doing handstands off the side of buildings or doing tumbles between different railings and things like that by the sea or whatever they do. Oh, but I can see now that they find it exciting. It gives them a sense of pleasure. It gives them a sense of achievement. Awesome. Because I would then say, when you've got all of that, how could you bottle it up and put it into something different that has a different meaning, which is maybe your career, which is maybe your relationships, which is maybe yourself? Because then we're taking behaviors, because we're now filtering it differently. We're taking that physiology, that state, those internal representations and the behavior and the meaning that we make on it and putting it into something else. All goes round in circles, doesn't it? And it's all interconnected. I'll say that again because it wasn't that connected. It's all interconnected. There you go, my friend. What does that mean to you? Oh, I hope that's going to make you think over your cup of coffee. I'd love you to make a mind map of this and go, what do I mean? What can I clear? Are there things stopping me filtering my experiences into better things? Do I have a few, when I say traumas, they don't have to be big. If they are, they definitely need to get sorted, because you don't need to drag around a trauma with you. Oh man, that takes all your energy, just dragging around that trauma just in case. But clearing significant or negative significant emotional events and boosting the positive ones. There you go. Please, number of things, always finish with this. If you enjoyed this, or you found a golden nugget or more, please share this to anyone who you think would find it interesting. If you could just share the Personal Development Unplugged podcast with me, Paul Clough. Maybe they'll get interested in their own development. And when they do that, we're just creating a better world. If you as I say, I don't want you to share it with everybody right now. I know you want to. I want to. Can't beat the hypnosis. I know you want to though. But if you just do 10 a day, that would be sufficient for me. Don't take too much. Say that again. Say a lot of things again. Don't take too much time doing it every day. Just 5 minutes a day. That'll do. That will do. Obviously, you've subscribed, haven't you? So these come to you every weekend, and then 5-minute quickies will come just randomly. And look at paulcloughonline.com/podcast to get those hypnosis tracks, and also just leave the podcast off and just leave it to .com and go and see those programs. And finally, I hope this is making a difference to you. I'd love your feedback. Did it make a difference? Was there clarity in what I said? Did I just muck it completely up and it made it, confusing? Or is there an issue that you would like clarity on, or a process developed? Because I develop processes, I put different ones together that I think are going to make good meaning for you, good changes. We'll come up with something. We'll reframe things. We'll change your model of the world, make your map richer, make your territory bigger, all that stuff. But if there is anything, please do email me. So any requests or feedback, it's feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. There you go. There's loads of back episodes, and there's all that. There's hypnosis tracks. So be well and shine and wallow a bit in a little bit of passion. Bye-bye now.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.